Hey, yo, it's David Gregory.
And Nikki Gregory, and you're listening to Addicted to Betterment. It's a podcast for high achievers wired for sharpening themselves or those looking for a regular system to develop and level up their life. We've only got one shot at this life. Don't waste any opportunity to live alive and love your life. Let's do this together. Click on the follow button to make sure you get all of our episodes as they drop. Hey, it's Nikki Gregory back with my husband, David Gregory, on Addicted to Betterment. And we really hope that you are taking some new steps towards, enhancing those tiny habits of yours or starting new habits, starting to feel the effects. Like I shared with you, I fell off the wagon during the holiday break and just was like free for all. I'm going to eat anything, drink anything, sleep as much as I want, and all the things. And then 3 days back on, just 3 days back on the habits that I know are healthy. I'm like, I feel like I've lost 5 pounds and my head's clear. I feel great. So I hope when you got a chance to listen to, or hopefully you have listened to Tiny Habits, Massive Results, you're starting to incorporate some things you've done in the past or maybe some new things to change your trajectory for the future. Today, we're going to talk about the power of relationships, intentional relationships. We're going to talk about win-win, and we're going to hone in on relationships that are life-giving. People come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Some relationships are not meant to be there forever. Most of them aren't. The most are going to be reasons. People that come into our life, and you go into people's lives for a reason, to help with something, to be a vessel on the journey. And then there's seasons of time that, your coworkers with someone and you want to be the best, most life-giving coworker. You want to add value. Then there's lifetime relationships, whatever stage it is, reason, season, lifetime. It's so true that the people we're closest with at any stage in our life really impact us. They're the quote we've all heard, you are the equivalent of the 5 people you hang out with the most, right? David, share your thoughts on this topic around intentional life-giving relationships and maybe tell a story or two that illustrates the power of the people closest to us.
Absolutely. I love the quote about the reason, season, or lifetime. I just want to clear something up. Me and you, lifetime.
Lifetime, baby.
So here's the thing, Nikki. I have this saying, energy, it's contagious, whether it's positive or negative. So if you think of, someone is sick and you're like, hey, please stay home. Don't be around me. Don't come to work if you're sick because we don't want you to spread that around. Negative energy is the same way. It's like being sick. On the other hand, positive energy, it's like someone breathing oxygen into your body. And so for me, because of that reason, I'm extremely mindful of who I allow into my space and who I allow to be in my close knit group, because they are either giving me the flu with their negative energy or they're breathing oxygen, breathing life into my life. So for that reason, I'm extremely mindful of who I give time and energy to. Recently, we had a fun night with some friends. Friday night, we went to some friend's house and just had a really great, epic time, laughter, fun. And can I share that this was a tequila tasting night? And when I say tequila tasting, it was epic on the highest levels of epic. That being said, Saturday morning when I woke up, the gym was not at the top of my options. It didn't sound like a hell yes. However, because of some of the people that I have in my life who inspire me, who elevate me, who hold me accountable, because of that and because of conversations I had had with them on Friday, they were breathing oxygen and breathing life into me. I got my ass out of bed and I went to the gym and crushed the workout. And took about 30 to 40 minutes into my workout. I was super happy I was there. Now, the first 30 minutes, I was hating my life. But after that, I was super happy and had a fantastic workout only because of the people that I surround myself with. Only. And so for that reason, this subject is so powerful and I'm so excited to talk about it today.
So I was also at that epic tequila club tasting that we have been trying to bring to life for well over a year. So it was this well awaited day and, so much excitement that turned out to be every penny worth the excitement that we had. So here's my key takeaway. If you ever go to a tequila tasting, whether with these incredible people we were with or not, drink water all throughout the night. I promise it's a game changer because we saw both sides of that. So, in order to sustain, if you're ever doing something like that, in order to be addicted to betterment, bring your water with you. Okay, now on the other side, I want to share a comment on what David shared is being life giving. There's always the times that it's like, oh my gosh, I am exhausted from this person. Now, we all have our ups and downs. We've all been the exhausting one. There are phases of life. No one is like, oh, they are perfectly energetic and give life every single time you're ever with them. That's not necessarily what we're saying. It is the people that are consistently pouring into your life versus taking. That would be the way that I would look at life giving. Consistently, not always, not perfect. And then I do have to comment on this accountability thing that David talked about is he did the next day after our epic night do 2 workouts. Now, that's pretty impressive. I did not. I was like, this is my day off. I am chilling. I did get a lot of stuff done around the house. I didn't feel bad. I just wasn't ready to work out. But I have to comment on how that applies to me. I have a 6 a.m. club online that we do through the Peloton app. And I so many days are going down those stairs. I mean, it's like, the saying, turn that frown upside down. Well, that frown does not get turned upside down until I am done with my 30 minutes. And I go from like, I cannot stand this right now. I'm so frustrated that I'm even here to 30 minutes later. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'd do without you guys. Right. So the power of accountability is so huge and having a group of people you do that for. Oh, so big. So, David, I want to talk about taking relationships in kind of two directions with our mentorship today. Don't forget, we don't know everything. We're just sharing what we do know and look for you to comment on things to tell us your thoughts as well. But let's talk about the importance of and how to form relationships, and then the importance of and how to sustain relationships. So, when you think of forming or building strong relationships, what comes to mind?
Well, I feel like at this point I could be an expert on this because I happen to form a relationship with my favorite human. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm getting this right. Here are the things to look for: shared mindset, shared core values, shared vision, those sort of things. You have to be walking on the same path together. The things that you share, the things that are giving life, as you say, life giving or a win win. I mean, they've got to have common interest, shared mindset, or it's simply not going to work. It's not going to be sustainable. So, those are the things when I think of forming a relationship, I'm looking mainly at those three things.
Mm. I like that a lot. And I love that you said shared mindset. The first one I was thinking was around shared interests for sure. But that shared mindset is so important because you could have a shared interest. Let's say that the shared interest is health and keeping yourself healthy. But your mindset is you beat yourself up when you're not perfect. And then if you're around somebody that's always like that and they're just like, it's like, man, I feel worse about myself when I am at the gym with you than, you know, when I'm just here by myself, right? So you could have that health commitment, but then you've got this perfectionist mindset of someone that stands next to you, and those are two very different things. So I like that you set the shared mindset of like empowering and positive. Of course, we hold each other accountable. So that I think is number one is that shared interest and mindset. Number two is the value exchange. You ever have those friends or those times in your life you connect with someone and you just feel like you're always the one pouring the value and the resources. That could be the time, that could be the money, that could be think of I don't know, value. But it just gets a little exhausting. The cup doesn't stay full when you don't have that. So value exchange, win-win, not that we're counting pennies, right? And every single second, but that the value exchange is fair and it feels fulfilling. And then third, sometimes I think people overlook this, but I can give you example after example all the things can be aligned, and then you're like, "I just simply don't enjoy this." Like, this doesn't bring me joy being around you. And, it just is what it is. There's other people out there gonna find you full of joy, but, like, in giving of joy. But we can't force that. It's kinda like when you're dating. You look at shared interests and the shared mindset and all this. And well, if you don't enjoy being with that person, doesn't mean that the next person doesn't, but it is really important. Those close people in your life, you want to enjoy it. So, in this category of forming relationships, building new relationships, the key I think that I want to share aside from like, how do you do it and what should you think about is where do you meet these people? And so, if you think, what are the shared interests that you're looking to have? You are a let's say a hiker, you like to hike, a skier, whatever. I'm thinking of all sports, gosh. Okay, entrepreneur, you love sales, whatever it is. When you find other clubs, right? There's all these membership communities and places that you can get involved, or your faith community, your church. That's why churches are so big. Here's the action. You have to put yourself out there. You have to get involved in things in those interest areas so that you meet the people. So that's really important if you're like, "How do I meet these people though?" Could be online, could be offline, but you gotta put yourself out there to meet people in order to grow that. David, anything else you wanna add on that before we go into sustaining?
Absolutely. So people, they either inspire you or they drain you. And you just nailed it. When you talk about that value exchange, I love that word. So people are either inspiring you or they're draining you. It's rarely is it flat. So when you think of that value exchange, for me, I like to break it down both personally and my personal life, professional life. So I look at people who are doing things professionally better than me in business. Maybe if they're in sales, their numbers are higher, they're achieving more, they're achieving what I want to be achieving. If it's in business, whatever it is. So in my professional life, I'm looking for those people. But the trick is I can't suck the life out of them. How can I give value to that conversation so that I want to form a relationship because I want to learn from them? So that value exchange is critical. But find those people, seek those people out. They are going to elevate you. In my personal life, it's the people who are they may not be getting it right. Maybe they're not killing it or doing it better than me, but they have the shared vision, the shared mindset to what? Be addicted to betterment. They are constantly fine tuning. They're not perfect and they're not pretending to be perfect, but damn it, they are hard working at trying to get better in every area of their life every day. Surround yourself with those people both personally and professionally. It's got to be life giving. The value exchange and the shared vision. If those three things align, boom.
So good, so good. Yes, so that side of things is really to inspire the activating of new key relationships. Now let's talk about sustaining solid relationships. I really think this is a lot harder. It takes a lot of time. It really does to have key people in your life that are, truly vulnerable and real and challenge you. Those kinds of relationships, your closest relationships will challenge you, will be emotional. And I think that's why most people like have like one friend because it's hard. So whether you're looking at like deep relationships or very core business relationships, I really love to look at things as not siloed. Many of my friends are involved in business stuff, not all. Many people that I would meet at church, I would invite them to something that I'm doing in my business life. Like, I really like to live this very integrated life. And it's not always like that, but just something to consider. Now, when it comes to sustaining great relationships, David, what have you learned about how to do that well?
It's much easier to form a relationship than it is to sustain it, which is why the divorce rate it's so high. It's easy to get in a relationship, but after a few years, maintaining, sustaining that relationship. It's why we go through friends every so often. It's a challenge. I mean, I feel like I'm in the best relationship I could ever imagine. And let's be honest, between us, it takes work, it takes intentionality, it takes effort, and you're great at that. So, first of all, massive thank you because you are the best at being intentional about sustaining relationships. So, I'm the beneficiary of that. But let's just acknowledge it for what it is. It's a challenge. So if you're going to surround yourself with great people and you're going to sustain that, you have to be willing to level up constantly. Because if you're around people who are constantly leveling up and you're not doing that, then it's going to be hard to sustain that relationship. And I always think of it as be the person that you're trying to attract, be the person that you want in your circle, be working to be that. Don't expect those people to just bring you up.
Yes. Well, I remember quite a few different evenings of talking with friends about dating advice because David he's really passionate about that. And actually I am too. He way more passionate than me about it, but I enjoy the conversation and just the importance of in order to attract this ideal person, look at that profile and are you that? Like, and if not, you got to work on that. So I remember two distinct conversations with a one was a male and one was a female, where David really challenged them on, before nitpicking on the relationship that you're talking about that isn't a great fit or whatever, it's not exactly perfect. It's like, are you? Like, are you playing that way? Just it's good. That's good to think about. Always looking back and putting the mirror on us. So when I think about sustaining great relationships, I think about the effort being in scheduling time together regularly. That sounds so simple, but I will tell you it's so easy not to do. I like the slight edge principle. I like to talk about that a lot because it's the easy to do, easy not to do things. It is the easy 15-minute conversation that's also hard. It is the easy reoccurring meetings every 3rd Friday that are also hard to fit in. Those times where you're either driving somewhere or quickly getting done with something to have your 3rd Friday lunchtime with this friend that you love so much, but you're struggling on the way there to fit it in. But then you get there and you're like, "Oh my god, I feel so much better. I'm so glad I was here." The struggle is real. So scheduling time seems simple, it's hard, and it's important. Next is the follow-up and the accountability. We're here to be friends for certain reasons at certain times, right? Like, it's a reason, season, lifetime thing, and you're working to help. I think of a dear friend of mine that has a nonprofit that's been going through some just growing pains, and it is my job to follow up and make sure that what I said I was gonna do to help her, which I came up with what it was going to be, by the way, like, that is at the highest level of deep friendship. I'm proactively solving things to help her and running those by her. I'm not like, "Well, call me when you need me." I'm thinking proactively about what I can do to help, and then I say what I'm going to do, and I'm gonna follow through on that, and that follow-up, that accountability, I mean, that's so standout. I mean, another that I can think of, and David, share maybe if you've got one, is a friend that's having a big struggle with the marriage in her life right now, and just feeling unfulfilled and wondering if this is the time that the paths might take a different road. And I remember her opening up and being emotional about that topic a little bit. And a great friend is regularly following up on that. How is it going? Hey, anything I can do right now to maybe give some new ideas on a great date night or what I can do out of the blue because I heard her and I'm following up on her. What I would say is a mediocre relationship is somebody that waits until that friend brings it up again. Like you haven't asked, you haven't followed through on what it is that your friend needs that that like was an emotional need. So that's a great practice. And then finally is, in business, in personal, in everything, I think about the win-win. It is not penny counting, it is not time and minutes counting. It is, am I creating a deposit into this person's life that I'm proud of? And are they doing it for me? And if not, like, we need to do it. Let's check ourselves here.
So as you were talking, I was thinking, here's what I heard. One, be a safe space.
Mm,
Be a safe space for that friend. Number two, support and celebrate. And then be accountable. And what that looks like for me, so personal examples is one, be that safe space that your friend can, one, share their struggles. You just shared two very personal examples that you have of one friend who is struggling in her relationship, another friend who's struggling with her nonprofit. Clearly, you've done a great job of providing a safe space that they can sit and say, Nikki, I'm really struggling here. This is a problem. So be a safe space, support and celebrate. So they should be able to both share that down, that struggle, that mountain that they're trying to climb, whatever it is that is overwhelming them, or they should be able to celebrate the massive win and the exciting thing and know that you're not going to be jealous, know that you're going to support, know that you're going to celebrate because, it's that friend that you're like, man, I want to share with them about the big bonus that I got from work, or I want to share with them that I'm in this new relationship that's amazing, or this new career path, or this business. But you know that there's going to be some jealousy. They're not going to receive it well. They're not going to celebrate it with you. So
mhm,
be that,
mhm.
support, celebrate, and then once your friend shares the thing. So for me personally, I recently had one of my favorite humans on earth as we're sitting at lunch and they shared a deep financial struggle that they're in, and poor habits that they've had in this struggle. And so, one, my challenge is to be a safe space. Let them just share with no judgment and say, man, we have all been there, me included. I love you. Hey, keep your head up. So that's one, support, listen, be a safe space. But if I'm going to be a real friend, my next job is to say, hey, let's start making changes. How can I help you? How can I hold your feet to the fire? What are you doing different? Let's look at options to make smart choices, because I've been down that path. And so I think those three things, and I heard you hit on all three of those. And when you shared that, so those three things to me, if you're sustaining, maintaining a really great relationship that elevates your life, I feel like those three components are critical.
That's so good. Being a safe space. Gosh, think of all the people on the other end of my life that are my safe space. They see the phone ringing at 6:30 AM. They're like, "Oh boy, what's coming this way?" But thank you for answering. Thank you to the wonderful friends out there. It's so important to have those people. So, David, let's talk about being selective. We can't be friends with everyone. When people talk about your top 5, it's like, that's 5. Think about all the people that you interact with in your day. And so when you think about being selective, what comes to mind?
Wow. You're right. You can't be friends with everyone. And you do a great job of identifying buckets that you can put friends in. So your critical ones, your great friends that aren't in your A group. But the reality is you do have to be selective. You can't be that close friend with everyone. Otherwise you just don't have time for your life, and it drains you. So being selective means, what are the key relationships? For me, it's, I try to analyze five or six that are, and I know you and I had a conversation around this toward the end of the year, where we were looking at each other's top five, and that was so fun, and it was actually a game changer for me in how I've approached these. But being selective is, which ones are elevating me in my life. Just pause and actually look at, what's the value exchange in my life, whether it's professional or personal. Is it elevating my life? And am I elevating their life? And if it is, really narrowing down those top five or sixes. I mean, I have a lot of great friends. And so for anyone who's listening, who's a great friend of mine, I have so many great friends, but the ones that you're really intentional about investing time in, it's a handful.
We've spent some time over the past couple of years doing some planning that I learned, I don't know, maybe a decade ago. And a lot of people make fun of me for it, but I'll share a little bit about it. The one thing I wanted to say is your high school best friend is more than likely not your best friend now. More than likely. Sometimes you hear those stories and you're like, that is so cool that you're still best friends. But usually as life evolves and life changes, you're not best friends with the same people that you were.
That's keeping it real. That's straight talk there. I love it.
And no harm, no foul. It's like, the best friends that were wired that way in high school, somehow they've done this, that their lives have run parallel and they still add this value. But the reality is, more than likely it's not the situation. And so if we look at that when we think about being selective, the reason for being selective is, we got one shot at this life. Life goes really fast and we all choose different paths, and every time we choose a different path, it changes our shared interests, changes the value exchange. If I choose to go start a business and I'm now an entrepreneur, and this person over here, that's not their path. Man, I don't know how many of you are entrepreneurs out there, but it takes a lot of your energy, a lot of your mind, and so it changes where you go. And that's okay. It's not that you can't be friends with your best friend from high school. We're talking about the key core people you spend your time with. And so that's just one point I want to make. The next is being proactive in planning your friendships on the regular, and what that looks like. And people make fun of this, but I mean, it works well for me. And David is, every year during our annual planning, where we spend right around New Year's, we'll do a couple days of planning. We look at the friendships that we want to invest in the upcoming year. And there are many friends that carry over, and there's some new friendships that we want to pursue. I was trying to think, what helps me know who. And besides, like, I will always share that if I just feel called, like like Holy Spirit led, that like this person, like, I that's one side for me that's just real. The other side is I look at my life wheel now, and that's what we do for our 2 to 3 days is planning our life wheel. Like, this is our core is like, what I plan to do in my health and what I plan to do in business and what I plan to do with my finances. And the people that have the most overlap with where I'm at right now is how I think about where to prioritize. And so this is where the nerdiness comes in. I've got the A's, the B's, and the C's, right? And my A's are where I'm going to spend my most time. The B's are going to be next in line, and then the C's, right? And then everybody else. Like, there's still going to be other people. But for me to be very proactive with things scheduled, and I know that David, when we got together and we all have things that we're better at than others. And he was like, dang, like you take this seriously. And I was like, I do. I really do. Cause I know that I have limited time and so does everybody, but like I value my time so much. And I really want to be a life-giving, win-win oriented person for these people. And same on my side. Cause I know how I'll feel if it doesn't feel that way. And it's my job. I'm not a victim to it. I am here to proactively do that. And so looking at like the A's, the B's, the C's, and just to give a quick example, what does an A look like? Vacation together, very regular meeting. If I haven't talked to this person in my A list over the course of the week, like I'm like, what's happening? you know,
Yeah, once I grasped this principle several years ago, it changed my life. And I would encourage everyone to really wrap your head around this principle. It's energy given to one thing is energy taken from something else.
yep.
And so that's how I grade everything about where I'm giving my energy. Because at the end of the day, if I'm looking at something and it's on a scale and the scale weighs heavier, that energy invested in this, I know that if I put energy into one relationship, it is going to take from another. So which ones, and that's just the value that I base this on, or how I grade this, is which ones am I willing to invest the energy in, knowing that it's going to take energy from others.
I want to just throw out two challenges. And these challenges aren't for everybody. It's like, if it works for you, it works for you. I'm just telling you things that really help me. One is eliminating the silos. If you think about this concept works for me because we're working on it in my company, which is work-life integration. It's not work, it's not life, it's like all together, right? Just that you just do it all. It just flows. It's seamless. And when I think of, friendships, the key people in my life, I'm not like, well, this one would be good for my health. This one shares my faith. It's like anyone that's in my A category is going to share my faith more than likely because that's a huge part of my life. Not to say that I don't have great friends that have a different faith, but that the silos aren't there where it's like, well, these people over here don't know these people. I want my people to know of others and like my key people in my life, they're going to hear us talking about and we would invite them to things where they're going to meet each other. So eliminating the silos. The other challenge that I would just share out is I personally love to host and bring people together. And one of the most powerful things you can do for business and just your life, like in friendships, is be the host that brings people together based on shared interests, based on value exchanged, based on thinking these people would enjoy their time together. So I've done that for years. My old past business used to do this. It'd be like, let's bring people together in the tech industry to share ideas and build new partnerships to grow sales teams or whatever. And they'd be more and more niche over time. But if you are wired to be a host, a facilitator, do it. Like that's one of the most powerful things you can do because then you get to design who is there and what happens to do all of this, creating win-win experiences and helping people enjoy their time and share value. So if you're looking to step it up, those would be a couple of thoughts that I have. And gosh, this is so good. I'm sure we'll have like 5 episodes on this year because relationships trump everything. Trump everything. There's nothing else you can spend your time on that's going to give you as much reward, both from a heart perspective and an outcome perspective.
Well said. Well said. Relationships trump everything. That's a great quote. You know, I read something one time that said the most efficient and effective way to get better is to surround yourself with better people. That's addicted to betterment. Okay, so hopefully you have scooped a couple nuggets from this episode today that encourages you to enhance your circle and therefore elevate your life. So, Nikki, let's recap these addicted to betterment action steps. Number one, be selective. What is the value exchange? Ask yourself, is it a win win? Number two, eliminate silos. Integrate as much of your life with all of your friends as you possibly can. It only makes it more fulfilling and it helps with accountability. Number three, be intentional. I'm going to challenge you today to take some time and schedule some things with your inner circle. Just do it. So, you just listened to this episode. Now, join us in being addicted to betterment. Subscribe to the show, share with your friends, tag us, and please take a moment, leave a review. Yeah, we do want your stars, but we really want the feedback.